Ladies and gents, welcome back to episode number 3 of the Cod Pod. Today, we are joined by Ash, but unfortunately Aaron couldn't make it due to commitments with his youngest son. He may join later on, he may be around to ask some questions and stuff. He is listening in where he can, but he won't be obviously on with the webcams today, which is a new introduction to the podcast today, so I hope you enjoy that. But ladies and gents, we do have the podcast's second guest. And what a guest it is. Following on from Connor Mez last week, this week we have, and in true Top Gear fashion, I'm going to introduce him the way they do. So some say he's the best caster to have graced the AM COD scene. Some say he's too good to cast the CDL. All we know is it's George Bofferzz Bray.
Woo!
How are we doing, gents?
I'm well. Very kind intro. I'm not sure I live up to all of those things, but I'd like to be thought about that way. That's fair enough.
Ash, how you doing? Recovering from your man flu?
I'm good. Still feel a bit under the weather, but I'm so excited to be here. And webcams.
Webcams, mate.
We've got the webcams. Bought the mic, bought the webcam. Moving forward. Absolutely excited for this one.
That's it, man. And hopefully over Christmas, we'll, me, you, hopefully Smithy can join us, but we'll get together, do a little special, get it all recorded in one room, like a proper podcast.
I like that.
I like that.
That'd be a good one.
Right, before we get into the podcast today, let me just quickly tell all the guys listening where you can find us, social medias, and also on Spotify. So, obviously, YouTube, you can find us. That is The Cod Pod on YouTube. On Twitter, it's at The OG Cod Pod. Instagram, at The Cod Pod. Make sure to follow us. If you're on YouTube, all the links to everything will be in the description below. And there'll also be a link to Boffer's Twitter down there as well. So you can go over, show that follow button some support over there, because he's got some big things coming up over the next week, basically, with EG and that. So... Right then, so I don't really know where we want to kick things off. I don't know if you want to go straight into the EEG thing, or Ash, have you got some more sort of personal questions that you might want to ask?
I think we should go into the EEG thing first,
okay.
And then I'm going to transition over because I've got some questions. Because I'll get into it after. Cause
all right.
There's some related ones to me.
Right, so obviously, you're a caster for EEG. So, for me, personally, I just got announced as a caster for the ELC. So, that's my first casting. Well, I did a little bit.
I didn't even see that, actually.
Yeah. So, I did a little bit of casting for the EU CGL last year. Like, I casted like 2 games or something. And I was put with a guy who, you know what casting is like. I don't need to tell you how it works, but you talk a bit, the other person talks a bit, and then you kind of bounce off each other. And there was me and a guy, and I would sort of lead him, to say something, or what do you think about this play, or this, the kill streak, etc. And he just say like 2 words back. So it was
it's a nuance. Yeah.
I fully had to carry the stream. Although he was there, it was like I had to solo cast this stream. So I thought I'd done all right. But yeah, ELC coming up. For me personally, I want to know how you got into casting, and then the kind of things that you do. Obviously, with EG Mortal coming up, with your online leagues, etc. What do you do to ensure that as soon as that button goes live, your stream's up? How are you in the best position possible to be able to just go and, absolutely just slay the stream?
I don't really think there's a lot to it, to be honest, actually. For me, at least, I have I've always been kind of theatre trained. I did a lot of theatre and stuff like that with stage presence and projection when I was younger.
Okay.
So there's kind of a zone that I hit whenever I go onto stream or onto broadcast when we do an EEG event or something like that, which isn't really I could be in the foulest of moods before we start casting. There's been times where I've been sitting in a call with Brody on a Sunday as we're about to do Championship Sunday at 2:00 in the afternoon. I've been woken up because someone's got the wrong time, so I'm 2 hours too early, and then all of a sudden I'm miserable. And then I start the broadcast. And it's hey, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the third day of this. It's all right, okay. I think there is kind of a zone that you can hit though.
Yeah.
I find that whenever I get into a really good flow of casting.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to be when I get to Malta because I haven't casted for a good couple of months at this point. Since going to uni at least. So I think when it comes to casting with me, there's a zone that I hit I haven't really spoken to Brody or Connor about this, but they kind of had their own different ways of getting into stuff. They prepped stuff, etc.
Yeah.
You sometimes with Brody, you can kind of tell that he might be a little bit annoyed about something in the broadcast, but that's just how it is. I get that sometimes as well. I think it's a question of I enter like I take on like a different role, like a character.
Yes.
You know, like it's like the role of the caster, and that's how I
yeah.
think about it. Because obviously with theatre training and stuff, that's generally how I do it. So I think, right, we're going in, we're gonna riff and just freestyle, improvise on what's going on in this game. I've got some stuff that I do to prepare when I've got big matches coming up.
Yes.
So like for Malta, and for like season finals, like when I did the ACL for the ESPU last season, and Val season 2 in my first season of casting properly. I still do. I have a black book, which is my black book for all sorts of stuff. I just write anything that I want to in that book. But in that book, I write down like lines that come into my head.
The Damon Barlow book, the players, the winning.
Exactly. So anytime that anything happens, I've got a play in my head, and I'm like, if this happens, I'm just going to say this line. Sometimes it doesn't get to come off, but other times it does, and so I've had a few good ones over time.
Okay, cool. Well, I can kind of touch on that. Sorry to cut across, Josh.
Go on.
I can kind of touch on that because when I right now, like obviously we're just chatting, so this is how I am as usual. But if you like watch like one of my YouTube videos, I'm exactly the same. Like as soon as I press like record, it's literally like scoot, welcome back to the channel. Like I just jump straight into it, and then like full of enthusiasm. Like can't wait to get the video out. And I guess that's kind of like what you're touching on there with, as soon as you're at the event or, they hit live on that stream, you're there like, right, I'm excited for this now. Like, let's go. You get like pumped up before it.
It's a different zone. It's a different kind of mode. I think you just flip the switch really. As soon as you hit that like start stream button, that's when the switch flips and you're ready to kind of like attack the broadcast at that point.
Yeah.
Because for me, I'm getting paid to do it. So if I'm doing a bad job, well, why am I charging you for it? If I'm not going to do my best, then what's the point?
Yeah.
See, I think obviously you went down the path of the performing arts and stuff like that. See, I think university does help a lot in terms of how you portray yourself.
Yeah.
Because when I feel like in casting sense, because I don't really look at casting as much, like I'm not really like into it because I don't think I have the voice. I think it's just like a personal opinion on myself.
Yeah. Okay.
But whereas I watch you, I watch Connor, I also watch Stano's streams. There's like a different persona of how you portray yourself, and I think that sometimes I think I think you need the voice. You need some sense of personality about you. And I think I'm just a bit too like.
bit dry. Yeah,
like, I've always got a cold. And I'm like, you one of them down the mic. And it's like, for me, I like personalities, and I think that there's a very few people who've got a very good personality, and I think you, Stan or Connor, have got really good personalities, and I've always gone back to watching the casting. But I think that obviously your performing arts and the theatre side of things, I think that must have helped massively.
Yeah, it does, especially when creating the kind of casting personality. Because, like what you say, there's a quote, I can't remember who it's from, but it's like, disguise is always a caricature of yourself. So whenever you're trying to create a character, there's always something about it which is about you, your personality in a way. So I separate like me and casting as two different personalities. The casting has got a lot of overlap with how I am in real life. Yeah, there's a lot of different times. Like I make some edgy jokes on stream. I'll make a lot more in real life. I really appreciate wordplay and spoken word and that kind of stuff. So I'll use that in stream and as well as in my real life as well. I think that's funny, and people seem to also enjoy it. So I get what I take from that.
Yeah, it's like terminology. Like I think some things are very key as well. Like I was watching Connor not long ago, and he was like, "Nevertheless," but it was like certain things, like how he would like emphasize it. Instead of me saying "nevertheless," I'm like, "Yeah, but all right then." That's how I would come across as casting. But it's the wordplay. It is the wordplay, like how you use certain words in different situations. And I think that like Stano and Connor are from the same area, so it's like I like the accent.
Well, I'm from nearby. I'm from Redditch, which just outside of Birmingham.
I like the accent. It must be that little, almost a little brummy thing. Us up north, we can't speak properly up here, so we just keep to our little our little area.
Yeah, me and Connor refer to ourselves when we do a duo as the Brummy Boys. That's what we go as when we're doing double broadcasts together. And we get along with that quite well. I mean, Connor's got a bit more of a rough accent than I do. I'd say mine's quite more generalised and kind of flattened out.
Yeah.
And when I cast as well, it comes even more kind of like English, I suppose you'd say. I enunciate words a lot more. I think it helps though because I like you're saying with the selection of words and wordplay, etc. One of my inspirations for casting is a Counter-Strike caster, a chap called Sadakist. I don't know if any of you guys have seen him or heard of him. I know it's a very COD niche podcast, but
No.
Counter-Strike casters have a little bit. I think it's a little bit more difficult than COD because with COD you can slightly get away with commentating the kill feed. In Counter-Strike, you've got a lot more time to fill where there's not a lot happening. But there is a caster called Sadakist who uses great sorts of wordplay, and I always harken back to one example, ESL One New York in 2016, where there's a player called Snacks, and it's obviously in New York, and he makes a 1 versus 4 clutch in a pistol round, and it's the quote is "The Big Apple and Snacks is hungry," and I just think that is fantastic. And those kind of wordplays and stuff like that in events and heated moments like that just make a moment so special.
Yes.
And there's so many different kind of casting quotes that you can cement with certain moments, like Courage when it was Optic winning their world championship. The dynasty has been cemented, like it was so long coming, and that's what the kind of moments that I live for as a caster, as a play-by-play rather than more of a color. That's the kind of moments that I kind of feel for and want to grasp for. And I think with how I've been brought up in my education, going to a grammar school, studying English and theatre, these are the kind of things that set me, I think, in a pretty good stead for having like you say, a good selection, a good style. My style is wordplay and word selection and that kind of fun Miles almost in COD. Kind of, I think I say I'm more like Miles than any other caster in COD.
Yeah, I like Miles. I was going to say Miles before.
Just that kind of wordplay and then that kind of bouncing off stuff. And Brody's very much kind of like the opposite. He's very kind of like by the book, likes to analyze things as they go through the game, and that's why we rose up together as a really good duo.
Yeah,
I think you need that. I think you need that balance as well. I think you need, like you always can get like one who's really strategic, and the other one's like he's like more the hype and we use the wordplay. Like Aaron's, for example, more strategic, and then Stano's more like the hype man.
Yeah,
and it does work a lot. And
there's a reason why it's a set formula. Color commentators and play-by-play. It's been pretty much since eSports inception. You have one that does really good kind of analysis of the game, and then one that can do the excitement. You get a really nice blend when they work together for a really good amount of time. You get the guy who just play-by-play can eventually do a lot more color, understands more, can kind of work that into his cast a bit. And Brody also, he started out as a play-by-play, and then when we got together, end up doing more color. So he already had that play-by-play in his repertoire. I had to kind of gain his qualities to become a better caster. So I think when you can hybrid and mesh, and we've over the past year, we've been trying to teach Connor some of the ways that we did it as well. Because when we're rotating cycles of like, not sure who we're casting with today, it's not just Bofferzz and Infinity anymore. It's Bofferzz, Infinity, Connor Mez, and Chris Stealth, and then Stano or Aaron or whoever. Like, it's just whenever we get to cast with you, I really would like to at some point. Hopefully, I can negotiate. Hopefully, I can negotiate something with the ELC. I have been talking to them a little bit.
I like Stano's portray, like his videos and streams and stuff. That's what I do like about it.
It's all about creating a personality, like you say. Yeah. Hang on.
So it's like just. Oh, like 1 minute. Let me just stick to this university thing. Like I went to uni, and I used to play. So I used to play like obviously COD and stuff like that, and trying to compete. What question I've got for you is, how would you balance the university with the casting? So obviously you go into Malta. How does that work? Because when I was at uni, like I did my undergraduate and I did my master's as well. So I could never find that balance. I always find myself doing work and work and work.
No,
like,
more
I
like
just want to know how,
and partying and
no, just like people have some like different ways to deal with things. And obviously, like you go into Malta, you go in there. Like, how does that affect university, or are you prepared for when you go to Malta?
I've got pretty good timing this time around because Malta coincides with the end of my term here at uni, which is pretty good. Other times though, I might not be that lucky. So what I have to do in the week before it is kind of just get ahead, really. So that's generally what I try and do. There are times. Basically, my life at uni consists of 3 or 4 different things, which is uni itself, the psychology work, commentating, my girlfriend, and then chilling out in the evenings playing some COD or whatever I play, Counter-Strike, League of Legends, whatever I'm playing with my friends. So that's pretty much my life at uni. I'm not a big kind of party guy. I'm going out tomorrow night, but that seems like a bad idea already.
No, not a big party guy, but I'm just going out tomorrow.
No, I'm going out tomorrow night on a Tuesday. No, but I don't go out a lot. I don't really enjoy like big open space, like big social spaces with those people in the same area. Like, I love when they're all pissed out their minds as well. Like London was great because we're not all dancing and massively off our face. We're just buzzed on beer. We just drank the place dry for 3 days straight. but when it's like a club or something, I'm not big on clubs. But
I'm not either. I recently went out for my birthday with my mates, and we ended up going to a couple of. I mean, you all know what Brindley Place is, being around Birmingham. For Ash, for those that maybe listening abroad, etc. It's a place within Birmingham. There's a lot of bars, a lot of nice bars, a lot of nice restaurants. Harvey Nicks is there, so an upmarket shop and shopping centre, I guess you could say. There's some other places around. And then attached to that, there's some like offices, etc. You've got Marco Pierre White's there, so it's like, I think it's like the 25th floor of the Cube or something. So from the top of there, you can see the whole of Birmingham. And we recently went out there. Usually, until this year, I'd usually go to like the Slug and Lettuce, which is like a kind of an upmarket spoons, something like that. Get a little bit drunk or whatever, and then go out and hit Broad Street, which is one of the main places where you got all your clubs and stuff in Birmingham, and that's usually my night out for my birthday. This time we went to Brindley Place and we just did like a bar crawl, and I enjoyed my birthday so much more just doing keeping it quiet with a smaller group of like my closer mates.
You appreciate the time more, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You can hear them in the night. Could be like, what?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. I go home on most weekends because I'm only an hour away from home, really. I drive up and down, so it's not too bad. I can't really cast from uni. It's a bit inconsiderate to my flatmates, but I can cast from home because my parents don't really care. They're very supportive of what I do. So that's pretty good for me. So that's what I do. I go home on the weekends when I need to cast, if I'm casting online events, and then if I'm going to Malta, I'll just go to Malta from East Midlands. So
Okay.
Not too far away.
Right, so let's just rewinding all the way back. How did you get into casting? Was you a comp player? Because I personally, I don't know that much about you.
I've done pretty well at burying my past, haven't I?
Yeah, you. I mean, I was even on Twitter the other day. I was trolling. I was like, I need to find something about him. I just couldn't find anything. I was like, I'm just gonna have to go.
I can't find some music.
I was like
2015.
It's like those people who go through try and find racist tweets from celebrities. And
man, honestly, I was there on scrolling through your Twitter, going on your replies, even your retweets. I was like, he's got to have been involved in something. Man. Like, come on, I couldn't find a damn thing apart from like the obvious stuff that we all know about with your casting, ESPU, EEG, etc. Am I right in thinking that you and Infinity, or it could just be Infinity, casted the Vow League in World War II?
We did. Both of us did,
both did, didn't you? I thought you did, because I remember watching, I think it was the final.
Was this in season 2 when it was like 2 o'clock in the morning and Johnny W went
Johnny W went massive,
we were like whispering and everything at 2 o'clock in the morning, just straight hustling. So I'm like, that was me and Brody.
Yeah,
that was actually my second ever event that I casted.
Wow.
Well, not ever per se, but second proper event.
Official one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so go through it, rewind all the way back. Where did you start? How did you get into casting?
I started as a competitive player, as most people tend to. Well, just kind of like casually, really. I didn't really do too much. I was pretty good at Modern Warfare 3, and when I was like really young, like 11 or 12, I kind of just found it on Twitch. I was like, oh, that looks fun. Black Ops 2 comes out. Yeah, I'll have a go at that. I'll have a swing. Played with a few mates, played with a few GBs and stuff, and kind of got into it. Ghost was a bit more of the same kind of thing. And then in Advanced Warfare, I kind of... Well, you guys will obviously know Nova, the former owner of Radiant. Good friend of mine, lives in the same town as me. We never used to get on. You'd probably find tweets from about 2015 when we used to hate each other. We used to talk about it on Twitter.
Scannon must have missed them.
Must have missed them. They're still there. We really used to not get on at all. We really used to dislike each other because we had some stuff with... We went to the same school as my sister, and we had some stuff that went on there, and that was... It's just childish stuff, you know. So we buried the hatchet a while ago. We play League together all the time now. And we actually, when we were good mates before that, we started Void Gaming together, which is an eSports org which has been in the scene for a while. It's got about 1,800 followers. I don't do much with it now.
Decent, that.
I don't do much with it now. We're planning on doing a little bit different kind of things with it. I brought Nate Dogg in, who's the guy who pretty much runs the whole show on that now.
Yeah.
I think he works for ELC a little bit at the moment. I'm not sure what he's doing. He does loads of different admin work as well.
Yeah.
Does this admin work. Great guy. I love him to bits. Nate is just the backbone of that whole thing at the moment. It just keep it ticking along. So in 2014 in Advanced Warfare, I was like, screw COD, I'm done with this. Like, I can't seem to just make any progress with it. I'm not good enough at the game. There's no point really trying to continue. I see my future more as in like organing, putting my intellect to good use or something like that. So I tried that for a few years and got into about 2016 would be the next big occasion where this kind of picks up. In Black Ops 3, I partnered with another organization in the Xbox scene because I didn't get a PS4 when it went all transitioned over to PS4.
Yeah.
I stuck on Xbox, and there was an Xbox scene still pretty comfortable, pretty big in size. A lot of players that now were on that scene, like Hectic, maybe like Liam McMonagle and people like that.
Yeah.
They were all still playing on Xbox back in the day. And I partnered with an organization called Demonic, which was owned by a guy called Billy, and a chap called Carbon, who is still a good mate of mine and still works on a bunch of projects with me. We created a league called the DVL, Demonic Void League, which is what the org was called at the time. And we created this league as a kind of free-to-play entry for something to do for the Xbox One League. It's going to probably turn some cogs in your brain that you might not have remembered existing.
I'm sure DVL, I might correct me if I'm wrong. Did something branch out to Gear?
No, we didn't do anything.
No, so was I'm gonna have to. You carry on. I'm gonna Google it.
Yeah, the DVL. We brought the DVL out. It was a really good success. It was a free-to-play league for the Xbox One players. There wasn't really anything to win. It was just something to do. And because everyone had basically shut down support for the Xbox One scene, no one wanted to know. So we just thought we'd do something for it, and it was a big success. But then my query about it is I need someone to cast this.
Yeah.
I need someone to cast this 12-team league that we created. It was qualifiers to get into the league. Everyone qualifies. 3 qualifiers. So who's going to cast it?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I don't know any casters. I'm only an org owner. Well, why don't I do it myself? I can give it a go, right? I can stream. I can do this. And I had a chap called Python, who some old people in the scene might remember. Yeah. James Python, traveling 45 minutes on a network rail to meet up with an e-girl. Good times. Turns up wearing chinos as well. What a good time that was. Good move. Either which way, we did that. And that was my introduction to casting. I did the DVL. And it was a really big success, actually. We had like 150 viewers, 200 viewers on our first couple of streams. For an Xbox One league, that was competing with like the people who were making Black Ops 3 leagues like Val and Dom back at the time. That was competing with them. I didn't even know they existed, really, because I was still stuck in this Xbox One bubble.
Yeah.
And then that kind of fell through when some shady shit happened with one of the guys who was running it, who was a part of Void at the time, a guy called Taylor. It got exposed. We kind of rinsed ourselves dry of it. I was away on holiday with my girlfriend at the time, and it wasn't a great show for everyone. And I wasn't there to fix it. I wasn't there to kind of pick it back up.
Yeah.
And as it was, it kind of just fell to the ground and kind of wrecked the whole Xbox One scene in Europe for Black Ops 3. Right. And then for Infinite Warfare, I bought a PS4 at the end of it. I was like, it's time to do this. Orgoning's going stale. I've not got the motivation for it anymore. It's much the same way as what happened to Connor with Future. It's like he sees more of a future in casting.
Yeah.
Orgoning is not going very well. Like you have to have a lot of venture capital these days and a lot of risk to take into inflating the money pool that is in esports. Esports is a money pit. Yeah. So you throw money at it, you keep throwing money at it, and eventually, like, some people rise, other people just shit the bed, and it's a waste of money. And I didn't want to be one of those people. Yeah. So I thought, let's get into casting. I've got a knack for this. I've been told I've got a talent for it. Let's do it. So at the start of World War II, I sat down and I was like, how do I start? So I messaged a bunch of tournament organisers, ES Hub, Val, EG, I don't know, Dom, I think, were just around at the time, or they were just phasing out.
Yeah.
And I messaged them all and said, guys, I want to cast. Give me a shot. Let me cast with someone at least, and they can judge how good I am, and then we'll see where we go from there. And it was an eSports Hub who replied, and they gave me a quick tournament to cast with Brody Infinity, and that's how we met. And we immediately kicked it off. We got on really well. We really started to have a good cast together, even though he'd been doing it for 2 years or so already with Assassin, Daniel Assasta, if you guys remember him. And we did that together. And then eventually we decided to partner up as a duo because Brody wasn't really content with how he was working with Assassin and that kind of stuff. So we phased that away. And then we partnered up and he pitched me to Val for season 1. And I did that, and it was a great success. We went really well. People seemed to like me. People seemed to get on with it. I had great support from the Cryptic and Bulldog teams at the time as well when we did the final. And and we did really well. And season 2 came around, and I think season 2 was the big break. I see that as the time where people kind of recognised me as a legitimate caster in the scene. After the whole Johnny W in the 5th map of the grand final, second best of 5 against Brash, I see that as like a defining moment for me, really. And I see that as when I kind of replaced Assassin as the other caster.
Yeah.
We didn't work for EG for a while because we had disputes over payment.
Okay. Yeah.
Disputes over how much we were charging. We didn't charge a lot when we first started casting.
Yeah.
Barely minimum wage. And it's per series as well, which isn't really even per hour. Yeah. And the EEG was still unhappy with it. They wanted to charge us an obscenely low amount of money, and we were just not going to do it for that. It's not worth our time. As much as I love the passion for it, I've got the passion for casting and everything. I'm not going to do something like that for an EEG league if it's not paid.
It's a lot of time as well. Like,
I'm dedicating a whole weekend of my life.
Literally, like, and especially like Ash touched on, especially when you're busy, like to give up. Like your weekend is, you work Monday to Friday, you've got lectures, you've got exams, you've got whatever going on Monday to Friday, and then you kind of get to the weekend and you want to just chill out. Then you want to just do what you want to do. You want to just chill out, and to have to then okay, fair enough. It's what you want to do as a job. It's a profession, something you want to work on. But at the end of the day, it's still your time, and
exactly.
You could go and work at Costa and earn X amount of money. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
You've built up that repertoire, haven't you? So you've got the experience. Like, voluntary work is, you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot to ask for, especially when someone's out of age to have responsibilities to do. And I feel like if you've done it, you've done the experience, you've got the experience. You know what I mean?
Done the
it's
hard
only
yards.
right to do so. Yeah, you've done it. So it's only right to get actually paid for what you actually want to do. And I feel like sometimes there's a lot of things like they tell you to do to get experience and to do voluntary work, and I'm like, you're giving up your own time at the end of the day. You got to just appreciate the fact that obviously without you on the casting, would they get the views as much as they would? No, they wouldn't.
Well, that's the thing. This is what we always say to them. You're paying for basically your sponsorships, your brand advertisement. You're paying for pretty much to get your stream out there. Otherwise, you're not going to have a stream, or you're going to have people doing it at a worse quality. You pay for what you get, really. And it benefits them in the long term. I mean, I've always the best. I'll go out and outright say that the best company that I enjoy working for the most out of all the tournament organizers in the space is Val. I have a really great working relationship with Saul, one of the guys who runs it. We play Counter-Strike together all the time. I was just talking to him before we came on here. And we get on really well, and I have a really great time working for those guys. They pay on time. They'll never dispute how much you're charging. They'll just give you what you need. You cast, you do your job, we'll do ours, and that's how it works.
Yeah.
EEG are good in the same way that we've resolved our differences now. ESPU we've had our qualms with, and they're not really around anymore. And then I've got different people that I'm negotiating for at the moment. I mean, for Val this year, I don't know what's going on with it. We're still waiting for dates and stuff. If they want to do it.
We had a team entered in the Val League. Unfortunately, it's we kind of come to the point in our lives where I was going to touch on this during this podcast, and we'll probably speak about it more towards the end of the week when we have another special podcast coming up. But yeah, we kind of got to that point in our lives now where we're all 21 to sort of, I'd say 24, 25 in age. And we're all at that point where our lives are so busy in terms of work, in terms of girlfriends, in terms of wanting to go to the gym or whatever. We don't have the time to sit there and put in, 8 hours a night like we used to when we were 17 years old. And so we had a team entered in the Val League, which obviously, if you look at their website, it was due to start, I think it was last Sunday, I think the date for the first, or the start date is. But they haven't even pulled any pulls out or anything. So thankfully, we've been able to sort of tell the organisation that put us in the tournament and was like, listen, like, we don't want to waste your time, we don't want to waste your money. Like, we haven't been practicing as much as we thought we would. We're not in a position where we scrimmed the RT on top team 2 weeks ago. No, probably about a week ago now, wasn't it, Ash? Yeah, about a week ago. And if I'm brutally honest, this is actually a good way to sort of go into the next topic, I guess, but I don't want to cut you off too short. But if I'm brutally honest, we played them and I think we probably beat them on half the hard points. And bearing in mind, we had probably scrimmed one full rotation of Dom since the game come out, which is absolutely nothing compared to what other teams have done. we beat them on, I think, 2 DOMs, and then they only really blew us out the water on Ramatza DOM. That's the only
It was
one I
the
can think.
first ever map we played because I only just got in from the gym and work. So did you, and it was like, right, we need to start at 8. So I was like, oh, like I need it. So I jumped straight on, not warmed up, and then we got absolutely smoked, like to the point. And then after that, they don't think they beat us.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. That's an endemic problem in COD though. Scrims apparently equal how good you are and everything. You know, they're just I don't know. COD's got the weirdest attitude out of any esport I've been involved in. I'm starting to get more and more heavily involved in Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike is my basically like my love of an esport. I love COD. It's my first love. It's always going to be my first love, and I'll always want to cast it. But Counter-Strike is ultimately for me like the one that I enjoy the most. And the attitude between players in COD and CS is just outrageously different.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Do you think you're going to transition over to
I'd like to just do as much as I can, to be honest.
Yeah.
I enjoy the variance, because if I was just doing Counter-Strike, I'd get bored. If I was just doing COD, I'd get bored. Like, me and Connor have started playing League more, and we should probably just give it a go. Give League casting a go.
I know there's a few casters in COD who transition. I think it's Benson.
I was going to say
Benson does gears.
Benson does gears a bit as well.
That's how I knew. How I knew Benson through gears, because I used to play a lot of gears. And
Pocket and Mr. X do Overwatch now as well.
Yeah, so. And I think Revan does something as well. Obviously, he's more of like an analyst than he's caster.
He's coach now.
Yeah, but I'm sure he did.
Might have done Halo.
Something like that. Yeah, I might even be thinking of the wrong person, but yeah, he might be Mr. X actually that I'm thinking of, and not Revan, but. Yeah.
He does Overwatch now. Yeah. He's partnered up with Uber, who I think is a fantastic caster. Yeah. I think they complement each other very well. I mean, you've even seen it with casters from CS, like Semler. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you guys know who he is. He does Overwatch now. And there's even, I would like to even just try different roles within broadcasting at some point. Like, while I'm comfortable with casting for now, I'd like to try desk hosting or interviewing, that kind of thing. That's always an option to go down. And I think as long as you leave yourself open and you're as versatile as possible in esports broadcasting, you'll go far. You'll do well. And as long as you've got a genuine passion for the games that you cast in, it really shows in your esport. And I think in your cast, and I think I do for COD, CS, and League. Excuse me. And I think they're my genuine passions as esports, and I'd love to get into all of them.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, right, let's move on, I think. So, obviously, we've touched on it a few times this podcast, but EEG Mortal coming up. For those of you guys that may be older, for those of you guys that maybe don't know about Call of Duty, that do just support our podcast every week, which we do obviously love that you guys can get involved, can enjoy this. EEG Mortal is a LAN event held in Malta, hosted by EEG, of which Bofferzz is a caster, or aka commentator for. And obviously, that is coming up. I think does it start Friday or does it start Saturday?
Yeah, it starts Friday.
Yeah. So it starts this Friday coming up over in Malta. I don't know if you've managed to catch any of the teams scrimming. I don't know.
Yeah. There was a seeding tournament last night.
Oh, there was actually. Yes. Yeah. That
threw some pretty odd results out. I mean, me and Connor were playing League last night, and we were watching some of the streams and stuff. We saw Blacklaw got 3-0'd, like straight out of the bracket. Former winners of the event last time.
Yeah.
With Rancor and Vickle and everything. Well, it's a different game, man.
We entered the final EEG League last year, the online league, and we pulled like Blacklaw, Bulldog, like Radiant, like any team from the AmCod scene, right? Yeah. Was in our pool, and I'm sure when they pulled them pools live on stream, right, there was different teams in there. Like those
teams. Well, I can find out for you. I've got the graphics still.
The thing is, because there was a team in there, right, that when we knew we were never going to beat like Blacklaw and Radiant, and we just weren't. It was kind of similar to how we are this year. We didn't play as much, but we did definitely play more last year. So that's why I guess we still entered it, and we thought we'd do okay. We never thought we was going to go and win it, but we thought we'd do okay. Obviously, we scrimmed some teams, knowing who was in our pool for a few weeks. Well, the teams that were entered for a few weeks before they all got pulled. And we scrimmed the team and absolutely rinsed them. They then got drawn, and I was like, there we go, boys, that's our first win, easy. And then the pools got all done. Everyone was like, right, yeah, it starts this Sunday. I log on, check the pool, and they weren't in it. They was in the other Cosmic Wolf team, and I was like, wait, what? I look at our pool, and our pool was just full of like semi-pro teams, like teams that are placing like top 8 at open bracket at Anaheim, I was like, yeah, this is like, yeah, boys, we might as well just chalk it. Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with that. But Malta this time around is hopefully a bit more exciting than last time. Last time we didn't have a lot of teams, in all fairness. I don't know what happened, but this time there's a lot of team subscription there.
I think it's I think it's the case of flying out to an event. I think last year is like a bit of a trial and error, and now people are thinking, you know what, this is actually legitimate.
Yeah, it's legitimate, and it actually doesn't cost that much if you're flying from Europe. Yeah,
it's out of season. Like, it's not during school holidays, which I think is a good thing, because then it promotes to the higher end of, like players, if you get what I mean. So like overage, I think that's a good thing. And I think it's cheaper in terms of that. If you're out of season, out of term time in schools, you can fly out well cheap. It's like £100 for like accommodation and flights.
Yeah.
It is. That's why orgs are jumping on it this time. Loads of orgs are jumping on it. They've done the cost.
I wish we would have gone out. I think if this podcast was more well established in terms of the longevity.
Oh, we would 100% be there.
100%. Yeah, 100% fly out. Just
next event, if there is another one, whether it be UK, France, or Malta, you will.
I know that there's some coming up. I know that there's some tournament organisers though.
You wanna?
I think one of them's already been announced actually. Val, I think it is. I think they definitely announced it. I saw it on their Twitter. They've got their. If you look on their Twitter, there's like a map plan of their year of how it's going to turn out with their season finals, and then it's going to be a LAN final at the end.
Oh, okay.
So in the UK, I believe it's supposed to be.
Well, then you're going to find me there with my webcam hosting.
Nah. I mean, by all means. My dream is to do.
Yeah.
The
Val guys for sure will like if you give them a holler. I'll put in a good word for you. They'll probably try and sort something out. If this show goes well for the next couple of months or whatever until this LAN final happens, they'll do something. The Val guys are really open to suggestions. They're really open to changes and stuff. Whenever we do a show or something for them, or we do a cast, they're always wanting to know what they can do to make our lives easier, or what they can do to do stuff. Well, they're really proactive.
For me, like everything, like am scene and pro scene, or everything. Yeah, and it's getting that way now, to be fair, but everything should be produced exactly the same. I watched, I think it was Scump a while ago on a stream, and I mentioned this to Connor last week, but Scump basically said, whether you're the smallest streamer and it's the first day you click live, or whether you are already, very well established with a big brand and big following, every time you click that live button, you should truly believe that you are good enough to be at the top. Whether you're already there or whether you are at the bottom, you should click it and go, I should be there. It's just that I haven't done it long enough, or I haven't, branding myself well, or whatever the reasons are. And being like, obviously with you've seen how the Call of Duty League works and the series we were last year. You get these interviews with players and the proper backgrounds and it's a proper interview. And I think that's kind of where we with our podcast can sort of fit in to these events and be like, boom. Today we've got Bofferzz on, or whoever, and that's kind of like where we're trying to take this, I guess. Do more, obviously, keep these podcasts going, invite the players, coaches, hosts, etc. on, but ultimately take it to a place where we can go to an event and we can partner up with the Val or EG or whoever it is and go, right, can you arrange for some players to come and meet us? Maybe they want to know more, or maybe there's and let's do that, and that's kind of where my vision is for this podcast. I think Ash and Aaron, I think both pretty much the same.
There's a bunch of different ways in which you can incorporate that. I mean, there's stuff that I won't give too much away. We're announcing it soon, but the four we call us like this, the four main casters or so in the scene at the moment. Me, Chris, Connor, and Brody. Yeah, we're working on a project at the moment to kind of get a load of content out about the AM scene, about a bunch of stuff in the AM scene, and there's hopefully we turn that into something bigger. We've got big aspirations for it, and there's definitely been like you pitch that to any organization like EEG, TV, or whatever they want to do with that, or Val, they'll lap it up. They love content, anything that allows you to do what you love on a bigger platform, and them to do what they want to do with that platform. They'll do it. I mean, people always love shows. Why do you think so many organizations love putting shows on, like Legion did, University did with Under the Radar, Socially do with the pushing media stuff? It's just free advertising. It's just free stuff. Everyone loves content. We love hearing from everybody else. Content is the biggest aggregator of sponsorship movement and everything like that inside of esports. It's huge. You make a lot of your profit back by content.
Yeah, 100%. Okay.
I'd love to get into it. I think we need to start talking to a few people. I just want to
Just
get.
hit me up. I'll get you involved. I'll get you in touch with the right people.
Yeah.
I really do appreciate that, Bofferzz. I really do, man. Like, thank you.
No worries, man.
Yeah. Okay. So
I think what you guys do here is great. I think it's needed in the AM scene. I tweeted about.
you did, yeah. I seen your tweet, and when I read that tweet, I was like, "Yeah, Bofferzz, you can have my kids, man." Like that. Literally, I literally said it when I read that. I was on mic with Aaron and Ash, and I was like, "Yeah, boys, have you seen what Bofferzz just tweeted?" And he was like, "No, what's he put?" And I was like, "Boys, you can have my kids. Like, I don't even care." Nah, like obviously, like I kind of touched on it last week. Like whenever you put like your effort into something, whether it be podcast or your casting or whatever, when you get like a good response back, obviously, I think you put that out before we'd even done the podcast last week with Connor. So that was like literally off our first podcast. We got that feedback from you, from friends, etc. Like it makes it all worth it, and it makes you get that feedback, and you're like, yeah, boys, we are doing all right here. Like this is good. So now
we was very apprehensive though, but that's why it took us a while to actually get the guts to actually do it. Yeah. So I think we thought about it just at the back end of Black Ops 4. I think after the last, I think when we got dragged into the pool and when we got Radiant and stuff out, me and Astana was like, I can't be doing this anymore. I put the hours in terms of practice, like from 7 till probably possibly 1 a.m. to 3 in the morning. Like when you got to get up for work at 6 o'clock in the morning, it's a killer. And then it messes you up then because it rolls over to the next day, and then you start seeing yourself getting a bit angry with your teammates, and you're snapping at certain things, and that's not what you want to do. I want to create an environment where everybody's there and it's inclusive, and you could come in and enjoy your experience. I don't want to be like, oh, shut up. Like it's just that's not who I am. I got to the point where I was feeling like that because I was losing sleep.
Yeah,
and it's not good because I nearly fell out with all yous just because of tiredness. You were tired, Smith were tired, Aaron were tired. Like, Aaron just had a child as well. So it's just one of them. It's a killer.
I'm a really chilled out guy. Like, but when I'm tired, when I'm hungry, and when Ash is moaning at me, I'm about to kick off, man. Like. And that's kind of how we got. Like obviously since we announced yesterday, or I told the org yesterday that we wanted them to have their spot back in the VAL League, and we're all gonna sort of go away, focus on content, focus on the podcast, focus on streaming and YouTubing, and Ash and Aaron maybe have their own things going on. And like I feel like being able to do that, like it's easy to fit into your own schedule, and then because you feel. Because you don't almost like when we was practicing, you almost force yourself to be on and play. Like you don't really want to be doing it, and that's like I said the other day to the lads. Like we kind of subconsciously, that's where we are now. We're like we don't want to be doing this anymore. We don't have the time anymore, and we are forcing ourselves to get on. And eventually, you're gonna get to a point where like. Your missus will say, do you want to come round or, let's go and have tea somewhere. And then you're going to go, nah, I've got to get on with the lads. And you start to resent. Do you know what I mean? And you start to resent, like, actually playing and practicing and something we all enjoy doing. So we was like, let's just go back to, like, 4v4, GB, S&Ds. Let's just scream the ladder, like, whenever you want and just chill, So that's...
I think the thing is that I think you just got to admit it to yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
it does take a while.
Yeah, that's what we kind of come to terms with, right, future. Can't do it anymore. To move forward, this is what you things that you got to do.
It's what I've had to do with voice. So I've had to just, as much as I don't want to, the last thing I do is want to close it. I just keep it as a back burner passion project. And the good thing is I've got someone who can just do that for me as well. Which is nice, and I think, like you're saying, with you got your missus one time, she wants to go out, or you can't scrim. Luckily for me, my missus is very very understanding of casting and stuff. She's very supportive, which is very nice. My ex wasn't so much. But
mine is like honestly, like I always say it, and I this isn't soppy or anything, but genuinely like. I couldn't have asked for like a better person to support who I am. Obviously with YouTube and some girls could look at that and be like, oh, you nerd. Like I am a nerd, but I enjoy that. Do you know what I mean? Like, so that's just, this is like, the thing is, it's like they enjoy painting their nails and getting fish sucking on the toes. Like I enjoy, do you know what I mean? Like I enjoy sitting here meeting people from the community and chilling with people that I've met through playing Call of Duty. I genuinely speak to Ash, Aaron, and Smithy, who's our other mate, who's obviously not here today. But I speak to these guys every single day without fail. Some of my real life mates back from school, I might not speak to for a month. So
Yeah, I'm the same, exactly the same.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I've got some of my mates play with us online. I've got a very different group of friends to outside of COD. Well, I don't really play COD too much anymore.
Yeah.
It kind of burnt me out after playing it for so long, and with casting it, you just kind of get it's just COD's on your brain all the time. You just want to play something else.
Yeah.
And I just play like Counter-Strike, a lot of League, a lot of single player games. I'm playing through all the Bioshocks at the moment. That's big fun. I just have fun doing other stuff. And like you say, I think when I realised that it's difficult for me to juggle numerous things at once, like trying to juggle playing, juggle casting, juggle void, juggle having a relationship, schoolwork back when I was at school, or working when I was working and being at school, casting, void, etc. It's all too much. I remember there was a time where Davey, who's not too much of a prevalent figure anymore, but back when he was running Aerox, went on a show and gave me some plaudits for running void, for running casting, for running my schoolwork, my job at the time. Everything all together. It's like I was just like, I'm not doing this very well. I'm not handling this very well, mate. For it, I'm suffering here. Like it is difficult. So I think the sooner that like what Connor did and what I have and what you guys have, realized that when you stick to one thing in esports, or when you stick to kind of like one niche little area, like content or whatever, you'll generally find you have way more success. And this is what I say. I tweet this GIF all the time. It's a GIF of I don't know if you've seen Parks and Rec, but there's a character called Ron Swanson in that, and he says, "Don't half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing." Yeah. And I tweet this GIF all the time, and it's mostly just like I see people like Lethals. I'll call him out for it. He knows that I think this about him. Like when you're doing so many different projects at once, and you're trying to juggle so much stuff, eventually something's got to give, and then everything gives all at the same time, and then it all just comes crumbling down. And that's how it is every single time. If you want to commit to Orgoning, commit to Orgoning. If you want to commit to doing content, commit to doing content. If you want to commit to being like a player, to be a player. Just do one of the things. Like I know it's a double-edged sword. You don't get the enjoyment of the satisfaction doing all the things you want, but just do one of them. Stick with it. Anyway, we got off track from EG Malta. Do we want to go back to
that? Yeah, we do. Yeah, that was a big tangent, but yeah, go on. Yeah, so I think really it was just obviously you seen the what did you call it, the seeding tournament last night?
Yes.
Obviously you might have seen actual live streams of the scrims and stuff like that. At the moment, based on what you've seen, who do you think are the teams to look out for? And as you mentioned, Blacklaw getting 3-0'd.
It's getting rounded.
Let's ignore all past placings and players, and just literally based on what you've seen, who do you think are the lookout teams or the lookout team? Oh, have I froze here? I think. Right. It looks like the podcast has froze on my side of life. So just.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, here we go. We are slowly coming back.
I think Aaron just left the call, so you might have to rearrange webcams.
Yes, I have got to now do that. Thanks, Aaron. Much appreciated, big man.
I think that's what caused it to lag out there for a second.
Yeah, might be. Right, hang on. Bear with me. Yeah, keep chatting.
I didn't hear the question, so if you want to re-ask what you just said.
Yeah, so based on everything that you've seen, whether it be streams, whether it be the seeding tournament last night, who are your standout teams currently?
Oh, he's back. There you go. You don't have to. Oh no, he's not again. He's gone again.
Right, he needs to stop doing that. That's going to get hella annoying.
There we go. Back again.
We're all
back.
Stay in, Aaron. Please stay in. Right. So yeah, based on everything that you've seen, and ignoring all past placings and players' performances and stuff, obviously Modern Warfare, for those that don't know, is a complete different game.
Oh, it's so different.
Any other Call of Duty I've ever played, especially playing it competitively. Like, you don't get people running around the map and running a flank on you like you used to. Like, it's so much more strategic and so much more, you involve so much more teamwork to be able to do well on. So yeah, question is, before I keep talking, who are your standout teams based on all of that?
Christ. I think it would be stupid of me to discount Blacklaw even after one bad online event before the event. I mean, Rancor was a god last year, and I don't think people really just stop being gods that quickly. I think he'll still be good, even if he's not even if he's half of what he was last year, he'll still be a great player. There was last time at Malta, there was accusations of him cheating. Like he's that good that people are saying he's cheating. Well, something about Cronus or something. I don't know. So people saying it's cheating. Johnny W was furious about it, but he was furious about everything that happened in that final. He blamed us, the casters, for one part of it.
It wasn't you though, was it? It was Infinity.
No, it was both of us. He went out, and we were staying in the same house as him. We were staying with the Radiant guys, so we were sitting.
He basically
could hear the actual commentators.
He said that he heard the caster say someone was planting the bomb, didn't he, or something?
top window on Gridlock is what it was.
Yeah.
I remember seeing something like that on Twitter.
But at the end of the day, like that's up to, I don't know who it is.
That's the event organizer.
It's the event organisers as to where they put the speakers. As to, you know, if you're going to put your speakers right next to your main stage, the guys on the main stage are going to hear the speakers. Like, it's. If that was me, I'd be sitting there with I'd be sat here with one Astro half off. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
You get noise cancellation, can't you? Though.
I don't think I don't think the gamers guys, the people who run the event in partnership with EEG, really have that kind of like bankroll to put into that, because they do all sorts of other stuff aside from this event. So I don't know. We'll see if it's any different this time around. I still think you can't discount Black Claw, though, going back to the original question. And Electrify eSports, I think, have looked pretty good as well from what I've seen. They've obviously just got a bunch of new stuff going on in their org as well. And I've got a good relationship with Omni. I think he's all right. I think good bloke. Running a tight ship over there at Electrify. And I think it's also, you know, if we're going to go for another nationality team, we should also just give probably a bit of a shout out to the Portuguese roster, which has got Kids and Sonny and Voltrix and stuff on it from last season. Obviously, Kids is a phenom, and if he was any, like same with Rancor, if he's half the player he was last year, they'll do well. So for the win, probably as well. And outside of that, I don't know. Probably there's a lot of talk around this corrupt talent or recognized talent, corrupt like roster. Obviously, because of the shit that went down with them, the racism, etc. I've had the owner talk the talk in my DMs about like how they're all former pros and what have. But I don't buy it. Like I don't buy it.
One player in there. I'm just looking at my thing now. I mean, he was a semi-pro that long ago that. I can't even remember his name. Like, and I spoke to Razri, who this racism was directed. Wow, it was more his missus, but obviously, it's him within the scene. So, but Matt, is it Matt? No, it wasn't Maga. Who was he?
I think it is
Mohawk. Mohawk is the one. Oi!
Here it is.
Here he is. So, ladies and gents, those I will try and get a webcam set up very quickly for him. But for those of you that know that voice, Aaron has just joined the chat. So he's live and direct from Oldham, Manchester. So let's go.
Yeah. You don't need to set up a webcam, lad. I'll turn it off.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Cool.
I think the only other roster that I'd say might be looking good is Obtained eSports. It's like CD and stuff, CD Cameron and those kind of boys, the youth players from last season. They look all right. But aside from that, I don't really know what else to look out for. There's a lot of Spanish teams in attendance this time around, which kind of makes me feel a little bit excited for a multinational event. It does make interviewing people a little bit harder. Like last year, after the final MVP interview with Rancor was a little bit awkward. Because I didn't really understand what was being asked of him. But aside from that, it was a good event, and I enjoyed last time around. There's a few things with production that have been changed this time around as well, so hopefully that's all ironed out.
Take some Spanish.
Duolingo.
I was just sitting here. I was like, right, if I learn Spanish and Ash learned French, and Aaron will learn German, and then that way we covered the whole of Europe, and then we could just go anywhere. You know?
Going back to that corrupt roster.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the same roster.
Oh, the corrupt talent roster isn't going to be the same.
Yeah. Two guys have chalks on them.
This is why Aaron's involved in the podcast.
Might as well have just kicked the racist guy then.
Yeah.
I don't know who's chalked. Obviously, we know James, Sports of James. He tweeted out about getting people in for Malta.
They got slapped by in the seeding tournament. They got
It looks like he's going to be playing for him anyway.
See, I did see him tweet out. Obviously, we went our separate ways based on schedules, etc. He then was a sin tweet. He was coaching RT on top for a while, and then it was like, "Oh, I'm finally going." Like I seen a tweet, and he was like, "I'm finally going to Malta." I was like, "Wait, what? Like, where did this come from?" Like, okay.
Interestingly as well, I've just seen on the Gamers website, they've got all the teams in attendance in their recent matches through the EEG website.
Yeah.
The corrupt talent roster in that seeding tournament got beat yesterday in the second round by Eternal, a Spanish team of like Roger, Terremoto, Rebel. 250 to 185, 6-5 on S&D, and then 150 to 100 on Norm. That's 3-0. That's pretty big spanking right there.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Well, that's what happens when you change your roster 2 weeks before the what? 4 days before the event? 5 days before the event?
Seen a lot of people though tweet out saying they need people from Malta.
Yeah, I think Shep's just decided that he wants to send a team.
I'm a free agent AR player.
He's quickly gonna hop on a plane tomorrow.
I'll put a sicky me.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
See you
Just
later.
get there.
You know what? I can't even do it because I'm on holiday. I forgot about that. I'll be in Vienna as of this weekend, so I'll be watching from there. But with that being said, and obviously now we've got your input on EEG. Obviously, we mentioned RT on top. Last week, we spoke to Connor Mez about this. Now, this isn't through want to bring this up, but literally, like, there's people leaving teams, etc. But this is probably, within the
still the big story
it's still the big story in the scene at the moment. And their reason for not dropping said player was because they said they're going to do really well at Malta with this player, with this team. Obviously, we scrimmed their full team, and as mentioned earlier, we had our own against them, and we're, you could say we're unpracticed. We haven't practiced a lot at all compared to what they've probably done. None of us have ever been near where Mohawk was back in Black Ops 2. So for us to be able to do that shows either we're absolutely incredible, and if we put the time in, EEG Malta's ours. That's not the likely story here. Like, the likely story is they're just not as great as perhaps their roster seems.
Right.
And so anyway, the racist thing. Obviously, I'm not going to repeat on the podcast what was said. It was more of a stereotype rather than it being actual racism. But either way, both directed at someone and his girlfriend. I did get the full story. I'm not going to go through the full story here. It's quite long, it's quite lengthy, but essentially you've got players on the RT on top Call of Duty team, or a player. Well, multiple. There was the bit we all know about is the racist, the stereotype thing. There was a bit more through DMs, etc. Calling his missus names. That bit is kind of like, you could shrug that off, but together with the stuff that was live on stream, he took it to heart. So all this guy wanted was an apology from RT on top, officially, and just from the players. To bearing in mind the stream was public, he wanted the players also to tweet out publicly and say, what we said was wrong. And I spoke to the guy, Aaron spoke to the guy, and he said if that would have happened, everything would have been done. He didn't even care if the player got dropped or stayed. Like, that for him was done. The org asked their Call of Duty team to tweet out to apologise, and they didn't do it at all. Like, there was nothing publicly put out there, and at this point the org turned around and said, we've done all we can. So
not what you can do.
At this point, I sort of read, Aaron got involved, Ash I think I've maybe seen on a few tweets. And from our point of view, I mean, you want to take over here, Aaron, and say, what your point of view was on this?
Yeah, no, I got involved because, you see, it's what it is on Twitter. People are too scared to voice their opinion.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
Like, there was, like I said, and, I do have to apologise towards Axis. I mentioned him in the last podcast, and it came across like I was making out he was being racist when it wasn't him.
Yeah.
He was just trying to stick up for RT on top, which I still think's wrong.
Yeah.
Now, him and James are two streamers for RT on top. James now coach/player.
Mm-hmm.
They was backing up the RT on top organisation, basically how they've dealt with it. Now, my point was that how can someone publicly come out, like, it be publicly known that they've been racist on stream? It's been then put on Twitter. The org said they've asked the player directly to apologise. He said no, that's all they can do apart from apologise themselves. Now, my point of view is, if you've asked that player to apologise and he said no, he should be shown the door.
Yeah,
I agree, personally.
It's like, And my whole argument was they were saying it's too close to Malta to change teams yet.
Now they've gone and dropped 2 players anyway.
Yeah.
So it backs my point up once again.
It's fucking car crash, isn't it?
So
it's exactly that, a car crash.
Let me just interject here. Am I right in thinking then? So I think earlier we said it was Corrupt that had
Corrupt Talent, I think it is what's called.
Because they go in as a partnership, aren't they? With
they're
another team.
Yeah, they've like
yeah.
half funded it 50-50.
Yeah, some sort of philanthropy agreement. Yeah.
So they've dropped 2 players anyway. Wow,
it's rough, isn't it?
That's bad.
I mean, for my take on the situation, I agree with what you just said. I would personally, if I was still like a really impacted org owner, he'd be out the door. There's no tolerance. There's a zero tolerance policy for racism. I mean, racial hate crimes are hate crimes for a reason. Like, I don't know, I wouldn't associate it with racial hate crime. He's not inducing hate or whatever. But it's still racist, and that's not acceptable, really. You can't be putting that as an image on your organization. It reflects on them, reflects on a player. So he's not going to probably get on any big organizations in future. So he's only hurting himself if he doesn't apologize. More to the point, just swallow your pride, mate. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
You fucked up. Admit you fucked up and move on. Like, people have said worse. You know, I mean, even PewDiePie managed to get away with it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he gave a very sincere apology. Admitted he fucked up. Took some time away. Came back. All's all right. I mean, it took some time people to forgive, but that's fine. It's hold it against him. Everyone has transgressions. Well, I understand if you fucked up, but if you're going to show no remorse about it, get the fuck out the door.
Yeah. But the problem is, from my point of view, is I don't think that, obviously you spoke to Fames, you've seen what he DMs. Like, I messaged him in the feed where all this kicked off, and basically said, "Yo, look, we got a podcast this Sunday. Let's get you on. Like, here's your platform to come talk about what's happened. Get your point of view across. Why haven't you dropped this player? That's your platform." He messages back live on Twitter. This wasn't DM. This was, DM me. We can discuss funding. I was like, this isn't how this works. Like, a podcast, like, you can watch like the EEG ones. They get guys like Scraps. They get 3 of them are all like top level casters of Call of Duty, all professional casters, and they do that completely free. Obviously, besides any money they make through the stream, they're not paying Scraps to come on. Do you know what I mean? He's doing that out of the corner of his heart. Well, from what I believe, I don't know.
No,
obviously,
true.
They could be paying him. I don't know, but so that we gave him the platform to come and speak, and he was like, "Oh nah." Then he DM'd me, and in DMs, he's like, "Oh, I'll only come on if I tweet out and it gets X amount of retweets and X amount of likes." And I was like, "You're going about this the wrong way." Like, and then later on, obviously we spoke about that last week. This week he messages me, "Oh, I heard the podcast. This is what you said about me. I'm that kind of guy. I like to like joke with people, etc." I was like, "But fair enough if that was just maybe about the funding bit and paying him to come on." But then he continued in DMs about only coming on if he got a certain amount of retweets, and that two of them together is not a joke anymore. Like, he's being serious about only coming on if people want him on, and it was like, no one cares about you. Like, it's your org and your players. Like, come and speak about your org. And
I'm not going to speak out of school against the guy, but because I don't have any major problems with him personally.
Yeah.
I just think that if you're going to conduct your business like that, like, okay, sure, it's a joke first time, whatever. Let's do it a second time. You're like, come on, you're pulling my leg a bit. At least just clarify. The way that podcasts work and have always worked really is you come on for your own gain, really. They're giving you a platform to speak about something that you need to speak about, or promote something, promote your org, promote whatever you want. I'm coming on here because I think I've got good stuff to say, and I think I'm interested. And I want to put you guys up on a platform as well, because I'm aware that my platform at the moment, at least, is a little bit bigger than what you guys have got.
Yeah, 100%.
So I mean, I think what you guys are doing is great, and I've always said that content is big for the community. But these guys, they're not. RT on top isn't that massive of an org.
Nah.
He doesn't have to get up on his ego high horse about it and say like, "I'll only come on if you get so amount of retweets or you pay me." Like, as much as it's a joke, it's just kind of show where your ego lies a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of an endemic problem in COD as it is. Everyone in COD seems to have a little bit of an ego about something or other. Or they'll think they're the best AR player, or they're like, "Why am I not getting picked up by better teams?" or something like that. Or like, "Why is this guy chatting shit about me when he's dropping 007 on one S&D map?" Like, come on, man. It's just like...
Well, I was speaking to Stano privately about obviously you've touched up on Connor Mez's pushing media stuff.
Yeah.
No, he just recently had that guy from No Identity on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
God,
whether that guy went on
crazy.
and spoke the truth or whatever, listen, I still disagree with the stuff, but I still give the guy big props for going on the
At least he
podcast
went on,
and
yeah.
trying to defend what had happened.
Yeah.
I mean, that
What
show
he-
was a
he
train
got out.
wreck. I
Oh,
mean,
no,
he
what
didn't
you're on
go.
about
He
now,
didn't
yeah.
go about. He didn't go about saying what he wanted to say the right way. And I said that to Connor in DMs while it was live. I said to Connor, "This guy does not know what he wants to say here. He hasn't got a
No.
clear idea of what he's trying to say." And Connor was just like, "Lamau, you're right." And I was like, "Yeah, I know." I just didn't know what he was trying to put across.
Yeah.
And I think the same's true here for the RC on top guys. Like, your position on this is so unclear. Are you against it because you're asking him to apologise, but then you're not enforcing it?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
if
yeah,
you've got him going to, we were talking about this before we went live. If you got a guy who's going to an event for you, you should have him contracted, really. So in that contract, there should be a clause that says, in the event of any kind of obscene behaviour or gross misconduct or something, we can subject you to a disciplinary, to a fine, something like that. It's stipulated within the contract. If they've got a contract and that's not in it, what a shit contract for one.
yeah.
What terrible business management that is for two. And if you haven't got a contract, then you're putting a lot of faith in people who you don't really know.
Yeah.
As an organisation who's paying for stuff. And you've got two orgs involved as well. It's not one person who's getting fucked now, it's two. Like if they bang you out, then it's two. And that's at the very least for me what should have happened. If he's got a contract, should have been fined or disciplined or something to do with that contract. And that's how it should have been.
Yeah.
That's why for us it was go on.
It's like when we had me and Aaron run Movement Gaming. And I think that what my experience was not giving people contracts because you trust them. And I think that at the end,
don't trust them.
Just as a result, if you put your own money in, I think that you should be contracted. I lost so much money by people saying, "Oh, we're going to enter the Val League and EDG." I've
the amount of Fortnite tournaments I paid people.
I work for that. Yeah, and it's just that your money just gets.
That's what it is.
Yeah. And
this
then
is
you
like
go, we got a team of 5. And it's like,
can we play under the spot? No! Get out!
And the next week after that, two players leave, and then it's like just going round in roundabouts. And that's why my first contract was for Future, under Connor, and it was just like you knew that he was professional, and I think that's bridging the gap between an amateur to a pro. Like I think the contract needs to be put into place in order to kind of bridge that gap a little bit because everyone just bounces off everywhere. It's like new team, new org,
especially in COD as well.
Yeah.
Well, speaking about Connor, me, Stan, I had him on the podcast last week, and we all had a laugh about it because it's a past and it's happened, and it all got rectified. But from your opinion, what was your view of what happened at Malta with Connor
with CD, not CD, Robstar.
Robstar,
what a train wreck! God damn. I was howling. Me and Brody were howling.
Because obviously we seen Connor's apology video, and he was pissed.
I've got a picture of him on my phone, from when that exact moment that he found out. What a face like thunder, mate. You've never seen anything like. He was pissed. I remember we were sitting in the booth. We had a casting booth with a green screen behind it. Yeah. And we were setting up for the day for the action that was coming up. We were doing mic checks, doing sound checks, getting headsets and stuff sorted and what have. And I opened my Twitter and saw that CD had tweeted this thing about Robstar crashing a motorbike in the venue. And I was like, yo, Brody, you see this? It's we were just laughing. We're like, there's no way that's just happened. And then Ruben, the guy from EEG, comes in and he goes, you guys know that Robstar's just crashed a moped into a stand in the exhibition centre and now he can't play the event, right? And Connor literally just was like, you're fucking kidding me. And then Ruben left to go and try sort it out with the gamers guys, and Connor was just like, I'm gonna fucking kill him. I'm gonna beat him up. I'm gonna knock his lights out. And I was like, I don't want to Connor's a big guy. I'm Robstar. If I was him, man, I wouldn't want to square up to Connor. Then I wasn't there when it happened.
He's a born and bred Brummie. What do you expect, man?
Stan all lets him down.
Robstar would have been laid out. It wouldn't have been the least of his concerns about not playing the event that day. He'd been looking after. But I remember Connor saying, right, I need to go find him. He was already kicked out of the event, sitting on the side of the road, wasn't allowed back in the venue. Ruben had to really hustle to get him back in. Did a public apology video on Twitter. Robstar made a public apology, deleted the tweet that CD put out. By that point, though, Dexerto had already made an article about it. It was already banging up. Already had like 500 retweets and stuff. There was no point saving it that time around. But in the end, Connor managed to get it sorted. But I've heard different stories about what he said to them outside. Certainly some choice words. But no, Connor handled his business, and I'm happy that he did so. But Robstar, man, like, what an idiot that was. Yeah. And I kept making jokes about it on broadcast all weekend. I mean, EEG weren't too happy about it, but I thought it was hilarious. I was like, there goes Robstar crashing out the competition. I thought it was quality. But I saw the humour in it, but I don't think Connor did. He wasn't best.
No.
You can understand that though, because obviously for him it was his first event actually being announced as a caster. Obviously he turns up owning Future. So this is his own org, and at the point when Robster obviously he's told that he can't play, Connor's like, oh right, I can't cast anymore. I've got to fill in.
I've got to play. And me and Brody at that point were like, oh, for fuck's sake, here we go.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah.
It's three days straight, like 8 hours a day of us just wrecking our voices. Like, I can't wait. It's gonna be a great time.
So, I mean, I haven't, the plan for the podcast is pretty much, there or thereabouts. So, I mean, unless Aaron and Ash have got any other questions, we could probably
ask me anything. I'm all right to ask you anything you want to know. I'm pretty open book when it comes to telling you stuff about my esports career and stuff like that.
So
like I said, I don't know if you have touched up on it, like while you've been going on this podcast already, but what I'd really like to see one of you do at Malta is grab people from the teams. Straight after games, pull them into the room and just question them.
This is why Aaron's on the podcast. Guy knows everything.
We tried to do a bit of that last time. It was a little bit unsuccessful because we had Rencor do it after the finals, and he doesn't speak very good English. But it's a difficult situation to kind of do because we were going to have Ruben originally wanted to have something like that for EG Malta 2.0. So whichever one of us wasn't doing the broadcast would be out with a camera and a microphone interviewing players.
Yeah.
But we never really materialised, never got the equipment sorted for it, and we just kind of scrapped the idea. I don't know if it's going to be any different this time around. It's an independent company that does production for the EG Malta. Here's my man. He's got it sorted. He'll do it.
Sorry, I didn't realise I had those.
Well, it's not like I say, it's because the last Malta one, it seemed like you said, they could hear you. It sounded like they could hear you a little bit. Was it that close where you could just literally grab one of them? However, in the group games, it was a lot different, the group stage, towards when you actually got onto the main stage.
Yeah, there were 3 stations at Malta 2.0. There was 2 that were kind of backstage, so that you think of the area that we were in as like 2 separate areas. Seating area with the main stage, and then behind the curtain was casting booth, production booth, Tekken booth, and then a bunch of different other stuff, then 2 different playing areas. So you'd have 3 matches going on at once, 1 on the main stage, 2 in the booths, 2 in the playing areas. I don't think the playing areas could hear us. But what would be the case is when we were broadcasting to the venue, not on the Saturday because that was taken up by Tekken on the Saturday. But on the Friday and Sunday, when the speakers were on, people on main stage apparently could hear us. And this caused for quite a big problem with competitive integrity with Johnny W and Rencor famously in the final. It also happened a few other times, apparently reported, some people said about it. So hopefully that's different this time. I don't know if EEG and gamers are going to take that advice on board and kind of change that, or at least get noise cancelling or anything like that. I don't think people in the side stations would be able to hear us because the speakers were facing the other way. And plus, that's not relevant to their games anyway. And even if we're just shouting inside the booth, they wouldn't be able to hear us.
There was no fans, was there? Like there wasn't no public attendance allowed in.
There was. What it was is there was the eSports area, and then there was the exhibition behind it, which is basically like a big tech expo in Malta. They kind of banged it all together into one. So this big tech expo is going on behind, and eventually, some people came through and were like, "Oh, let's have a look at this. We can have a gander." But other people didn't, and it wasn't very well subscribed. They had lots of empty seats.
That's fair enough. If there was people there, then I understand the speakers on. But that was my next point. If there wasn't allowed any public people in. Oh no,
there was people there, and there was also stuff. They had speakers for there was a robotics convention show thing with school kids or some shit like that, and more people turned up for the Tekken, and the Tekken casters were kind of shouting to a few people. So there's definitely people in attendance. Yeah,
that's cool.
I don't know if it's going to be different this time. I would like it to be. I'd like there to be more competitive integrity, and they can't hear us for one.
I think even your scene would grab a lot of attention if you did a UK LAN.
Oh, it definitely would.
I myself would come and just watch an amateur LAN.
Well, that's why Val are going to try and do it, from what I know. As soon as their seasons get started, they're going to try and do it. I think that's coming up. So, yeah. Well, I don't know actually where it's going to be. There was
they're past August, innit?
Yeah.
They're past as soon as they know the date for champs, they'll know the date for theirs.
They'll know the date for their event. I think I'm good mates with Saul, the owner, and Lewis. So they told me that pretty much what you said. As soon as you know a date for champs, they're going to do it. They've got a venue sorted. They've already been negotiating that apparently. I don't know how big it's going to be, but to run a LAN is a massive investment.
Oh,
if you're doing it off the back of your own profits as well, like if Saul and Lewis are doing without. I mean, at least with EEG, they partner up with a Maltese company with a lot of capital called Gamers. .com.mt, and they at least have the capital behind it to do something like that and partner up with EEG to run the event, because EEG have got the platform for the niche area to get people there to buy the team tickets to get people to the event, and then gamers can run it, and that's what they do really more than anything. And Ruben works with the tourism board and stuff there as well, as far as I know, in Malta, so to get people from the UK to the event to do all sorts of esports stuff. So that's how they get it to work. But I think with someone like Val, especially in the UK, where things are more expensive, renting out venues are more expensive, internet connections, all that kind of stuff, it's a little bit more of an ambitious project. And I think that's why it'll be a while before you see any really good UK amateur LAN events.
Yeah.
It's getting there, though.
No, that's good. Like I said, I don't have any more questions. Just keep killing it, man.
Thank you very much. Hopefully, aim to do so. I've got a lot of stuff coming up in World War II. Well, that's not World War II. What the fuck am I on?
I was going to say,
going backwards there, pal. Move forward.
Yeah. Do you know that you're casting Modern Warfare this weekend, bro? Like,
I don't know where I've gone. I thought I was casting
Forest, is it?
Jesus Christ! I know we've been chatting for an hour, bro, but like,
I've just lost it. I'm out of my head. Either way, yeah, I've got lots of stuff coming up. I think there's some stuff which is yet to be announced. There's a few leagues which are coming up, which I shall be doing that haven't been announced yet. EEG's obviously been announced with a bunch of other talent. Val's pretty much a given. We'll go ahead and say that I'll probably be doing that, along with the CSGO, which is good. I'll be doing CS for Val as well, hopefully. A few other tournament organised in the European amateur COD space, and some more CS for me later on in the year, I hope.
Oh, okay.
So, well, let's look forward to. And obviously, like I mentioned earlier on the podcast, us four, like me, Brody, Connor, and Chris, are working on a project at the moment, a content project, which will probably be announced in the next week, probably after Malta. And so you guys can look out for that. I'll give you guys a scoop off stream if you want it. Okay. And we can talk about it then. I think it's going to be a big bit of fun, and we can get some stuff going with that. So that's all from me, really. That's all I've got going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Not much else.
I want to just throw something out there now, and this is like sort of towards the end of wrapping up our thing. But as you know, we spoke to you about what our sort of goal with this podcast was, to give people a platform. And one thing that we did in the first episode is we gave like someone a shout out. It was a streamer that we all kind of knew of. I think when he streams he gets like 2, 3, 4 viewers. But like I said earlier, you watch his streams, he deserves to be at the top. He just hasn't built his brand big enough. So by getting people like you on and Connor on, and then we give these guys a shout out, we hope that we can build people's brands and give them the platform they need. So is there anyone that you're watching? Doesn't have to be Call of Duty related. Doesn't have to be. It could be a podcast if you really want it.
But has to be amateur.
Doesn't have to be amateur.
No, it has to be
amateur.
No,
it has to be amateur. Okay. Doesn't have to be COD, but it has to be amateur.
It has to be amateur, yeah.
I don't even know who I'm watching a lot of at the moment. I think
World War II, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, World War II. I'm still living off the high of Johnny W in Game 5, mate. I think thing for me is I'm very good friends with 2 amateur COD player females, Alicia and Finesse. I'm very good friends with them. I don't know if you know them, and they obviously do just streaming these days. Alicia was a writer. I think she had a bit of a knack for that, but going back to streaming and what have, I think those 2 are doing some good work at the moment. I don't know who I'd really call out for in anything else though. I'd go with, I know there's a friend of mine who is going to get back in streaming soon, who's called That Weird Beard, who I think does great work. He's got a really good personality for it. He's an American, British born, moved to America, back to the UK with Italian parents, so his accent's all over the place.
Wow.
And he does, it just streams anything. He just streams anything, and hopefully he's going to get back into it soon. He's one of my best mates. So give him a shout out. And that'll probably be all I'd go with.
Well, we'll try and get links to all those guys in the description on YouTube, obviously.
And girls.
And yeah, man. So I guess with all that being said, from me, thank you for coming and joining us, Bofferzz. You really
Very
appreciate it. Appreciate
Absolutely.
the tweet as well that you put out a couple of weeks ago about saying what we're doing and what the guys over at Pusher Media are doing. That was a nice touching message, and obviously we, like Ash said earlier in the podcast, when we spoke about this end of last year, we didn't do it because it was probably too late. We was a bit nervous as to would it get the recognition we wanted, would it be this platform that we wanted to be, and the way it's going, it's turning out to be that way. So hopefully we can keep going, keep getting guests like yourself on, and keep getting the good feedback. So again. To those that have listened this far, thank you for all your support. The messages that we get on YouTube and the comments, the texts that we all get from friends and family, etc. We appreciate all of it. To those on Spotify, obviously we don't really push the Spotify platform out there as much. But if you are driving, that's always there. Maybe you got a 2-hour drive. Personally, I don't like listening for music for that long. I'll whack on Hex's podcast or another, Push Your Media's podcast, and I'll sit there and listen to that because I enjoy sitting and listening to the conversations. But from all of us here at the Cod Pod, got it right this time. Let's go.
That's funny last time, to be fair.
Last time I ended it, and I was like, from all of us here at the Pod Cod, and I was like, oh, fuck. So, the whole thing went perfect, and at the end of it, I dropped that in there. But yeah, from all of us here at the Cod Pod, we hope you have an absolutely fantastic day wherever you are in the world, and we'll catch you next Sunday, or this Sunday coming actually, 2 in a week, for a very, very, very special episode. So.
When will this one go live, Stan?
I'm gonna try and get this one live for tomorrow because it's obviously 9:30 now. I don't want to whack it out too early. So, yeah, as of Sunday this week, we'll try and get another episode filled in. So we get 2 this week, and then back into the usual schedule as of the week after. So again, guys, appreciate you all being here, and we'll catch you next week for the 4th episode of the Cod Pod.